Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5th episode of Birddogs, Bourbon, and the Good Life. Today we are interviewing Keith Jones. He is a local business owner and entrepreneur here in Hutchinson, Kansas. He is the owner of KCJC Truckload Sales, and we're going to go over his business, how he got into the business. Obviously, we're going to talk about bird dogs. Obviously, we're going to talk about some hunting and fishing, some funny stories, and just kind of have a good conversation with Keith and let everybody know how he became an entrepreneur and what drove him to be an entrepreneur. But, like always, second part of our title is bourbon. Mm-hmm. The bourbon we have today is Holing Station, small batch, 100 proof, straight bourbon whiskey. And it is, I'm going to be honest with you, it was established in 1866. The bourbon is a bourbon whiskey, high rye mash, 92% corn, 44% rye, 4% barley. I'm trying to find something good to say about it. Unfortunately, this is not my favorite bourbon. The first thing that bugged me is I uncorked it, and it's a plastic cork. Anytime I get a plastic cork in a bourbon, it has disappointed me, unfortunately. I'm sure the cork isn't the taste, but it's a signal that the bourbon isn't a real high-quality bourbon. It's I can drink it, but it doesn't have a nice smoky flavor. It doesn't have a nice full-bodied bourbon flavor. It more just tastes like whiskey, hot, 100 proof whiskey. It doesn't have a real great flavor to it at all. It doesn't have any caramel notes, nothing. At least that I can tell. What did you think, Keith?
Yeah, kind of with you. It's not real smooth. It's just, yeah.
Not my favorite. I'm letting my ice melt pretty aggressively. Normally, I'm right on this. This bourbon is pretty rough. It's not the best. You might want to try it. Again, it is Holing Station, small batch. Here it is right here. I'm not saying somebody doesn't like it out there. Maybe there's somebody out there that thinks this is the best bourbon there is. I ain't that guy. And I told you, I'd tell you the truth up front. It's about a $50 bottle. I probably won't purchase it again. So, with that being said, Keith Jones is the owner of KCJC Truckload Sales. He has been doing this business, I'm going to ask him here in a minute, for a while. I've been doing business for him, with him, for a couple years now. He also gives to the community in a lot of ways, and we'll be talking about that as well. So, Keith, tell us a little bit about your business and how long you guys have been in business.
All right. About my business is we do overstocks, liquidations, shelf pulls, just everything from these big box stores that you see out there. Like, we'll just mention some names: Walmart, Target, Amazon's one of my big suppliers that I buy from. We just get the shelf pulls, or if they go through their warehouse and they start pulling items off of their shelves that's been sitting for a while or just is not moving. They just go into these big Gaylord pallets, and after they get enough for a truckload, they go to a distributor that has a contract with them, and then that distributor brings them into his warehouse where I have the opportunity to look through them, buy them. Some of them are manifested loads. Some of them are not manifested. Those are the ones you got to stay a little clear from time to time because you will get burned if you're not careful. But that's just part of the game that we play. We've been doing this going on 9 years now. It's kind of crazy.
9 years.
Yes. My wife and I was like talking about a couple nights ago. It's like, been 9 years, and she's like, wow, I didn't think it was going to last that long, and neither did I at first. We started out real small. I bought 5 pallets is how I started, and we were struggling to make $100 in 2 weeks.
Really?
Just selling stuff, on Facebook. I didn't have my Facebook group back then. I was
Yeah.
just doing it on the Reno County buy-sell trade, that kind of stuff. And it wasn't very common here yet. Not very many people knew about the overstocks and stuff like that. So it was kind of new, and, kind of stuck a few items out there and sold them, and kind of told person, and this person told this person, and just kind of grew by word. And before you knew it, we had 500 people that was buying from me. And that's when we decided to start our group up that we have. And we started it up, and, word got out who I am and what I do. And it just started growing pretty rapidly.
So what really was the driving factor about doing this? As an entrepreneur, what was your thought process in doing this? That it wasn't around here much, and it was an open opportunity, or?
Well, we'll go back just a little bit on my story here. I started out going to auctions and buying stuff and flipping it. That's how I started, because I'm just that kind of person. I like going to auctions for one, and I was picking up stuff super cheap. So I was like, well, why can't I fix it up or turn around and make a few extra dollars?
Yeah.
So I was doing that at first, and I went to an auction down in Windham, Kansas, and he had a whole semi-load of Sears items. He bought that's when Sears was still in business. He bought a full semi-load of Sears, and after the auction, I came up to him and says, man, where did you get all this stuff from? And he told me the supplier that he got them from, and I was like, cool. That was really cool to me. It had power tools and hand tools. I'm a guy, like to do those kind of things.
Oh, yeah, tools.
Tools, exactly. So, I went home that night and told my wife, and she's like, we're just newly married, have no money to our names. We're scrounging up everything. So she's like, well, there's just no way we can do it right now. There's just no way. And I was kind of disappointed a little bit. So I was like, well, we'll just give it a couple more years, and kept on going to auctions, buying a little here, buying a little there, and flipping it and honey holing it away. I finally came up with $700, and that's how I started, with $700, and went up there and bought 5 pallets, and just grew from 5 to 10 to 15. Now I buy 27 to 42 pallets at a time.
So you took a $700 investment.
Yes.
Through being thrifty.
Yes.
I'm going to use the phrase thrifty. Through going through the process of buying things that people want.
Yep.
At a reduced rate, fixing it, or just turning around and immediately flipping it if it was in good condition, make a little bit of a profit.
Yep.
And over a couple of years, $700, you weren't making much of a profit. You were making enough to pay for the investments and your time a little bit. Then you would just stockhold the rest. And now you've turned $700 into a booming little business that you can afford. Just for everybody, just so everybody knows, you sponsor Pheasants Forever here in Hutchinson, Kansas. That's correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So last year, you were able to sponsor Pheasants Forever for $2,500.
Yes.
And this year, you're sponsoring Pheasants Forever for $5,000. More than 5 times the amount you used to start your business.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what that tells me is you have a really good entrepreneurial spirit and the drive to get things done. Or a wife that cracks the whip.
Well, a little bit of both, probably.
I know you guys get stuff from Lowe's sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed when I was in there the other day, you guys have double stainless steel sinks with faucets.
Yeah.
So if I was an average Joe, what would one of those go for? Just off the top of your head.
Yeah,
It
well,
doesn't have to
I
be
mean,
perfect.
those units usually run retail for about $350. You're going to come to me, you're going to pay between $100 to $150.
So you're going to get it at half the cost you would have got it at the original retailer.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it, for someone doing like home rebuilds, or they just want to come in and they want to freshen up their kitchen, maybe their sink and faucets,
Right.
not in the best condition. They can do that for almost half the cost, actually below half the cost that they're going to go to Lowe's and pay for it.
Yeah.
And your sales tax is in your cost.
Yes, all my sales tax is included into the price of whatever I tell you that it is.
So actually, when you go buy from here in Hutch, when you go buy a $300 item, you still have to pay that 8.75% sales tax.
Exactly.
But when they buy from you and they buy it for $150, they don't have to pay that 8.75% sales tax because you've already added it to your cost,
into
right?
my cost, correct.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did notice when I roam around your stuff a lot.
Yeah.
I think my wife's addicted to your place. I think I'm out there every weekend. And this is a little backstory for Keith and I. We met about 25, 23 years ago.
Somewhere in there, yeah, close to that.
So, and we met through mutual friends.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this: when I first met Keith, he was the skinniest little cowboy. I'll tell you what, I thought if the wind blew about 2 miles an hour, he's going to fly away.
Very true.
Little bitty guy. Great guy though, great guy. And so we're here today. We run into your thing on Facebook. I purchased some stuff from you. Matter of fact, this little electric heater fireplace thing behind me, you see in the camera, we got there. And everything's really reasonable priced. So you guys give to Pheasants Forever. I did some research. I was digging around because before I interview people, I kind of like to get some dirt on them. It's always positive dirt. And I know I've talked about this in past podcasts, but about a month ago, I think it was, there was a fire that rolled through Cottonwood Hills and destroyed 30 homes, damaged 90. Can you tell me the backstory of what you and a friend of yours did to put together a plan to help these people?
Yeah, I mean, the community, they help us small businesses, so we wanted to give back to them. And the people close to my area where I live, that fire was less than 4 miles from my place. It could have been a disaster if the wind would have changed. Me and a friend, we got together and we donated a lot of items, and we decided we were going to have a live auction. And it ran for about 2.5 hour auction. It was on Facebook Live auction. And we raised $9,250 for these people to help them out just with their day-to-day needs that they don't have now because their home is gone or no clothes or whatever. So we decided we wanted to do something for them. So,
that's, you're already given to Pheasants Forever. And you do that because you love the community, you love the organization and what they do. And then you guys turn around, you hear of a need in the community.
Yes.
And you guys step up on your own. No one asked you to do it.
No.
And you guys raised over $9,000.
Yes.
Which is, $9,000 may not seem like a lot over that big picture, but that might provide food, clothing, a young family's crib, help them get a crib or beds or whatever they need that they've lost their entire home and they've lost everything.
Yes.
So that's pretty amazing, and I applaud you guys for doing that. And that's one of the big reasons people should buy local.
Yes.
Is because the local businesses support their local community heavily. And And I know you guys are really involved in your community. Now, I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit. And obviously, part of our podcast is about bird dogs. How many bird dogs you been around?
Actually, my dad and me, we each had one apiece back when I was younger. We used to do a lot of pheasant and quail hunting.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay. I like it when someone tells me this because these next two questions are my favorite questions to ask on the podcast because I think they're inspirational and I also think they're funny. So I would like to hear about what I would phrase is the funniest hunting experience when you were out with you and your dad with the dogs. And then after you're done with that one, I don't care which one you pick first. And then I want you to tell me about your most memorable. Like you're out with your dad.
Yeah.
What is your most memorable hunting experience with your dad that you'll remember forever?
It's been a long time ago, Stephen.
Well, then, come on now.
Got to think a little bit there. I mean, just being with your dad out in the field. I mean, it's something that you'll always have in your memory.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, my dad is getting old. He just turned 79 in March, so he's getting up there in age. So he don't go out and hunt as much as he used to.
I met your dad. He's kind of a feisty character.
Yes, he can be. He can be. But no, I mean, I enjoyed going out and hunting when we did do that as my younger age, and he loved to hunt and he loved to fish. That was one thing that we did a lot of when I was younger growing up. So, I mean, I don't think there's one special memory I have. It's just, just being there with him and look at the birds that we caught. If we hit any, some days we didn't, some days we did, but it's just being out there with him and having just a good time and that father-son bonding time.
Yeah. And
So.
I know you're starting to build that very same foundation with your kids currently.
Yes, trying to.
You took your sons to Hunter's Ed.
Yes.
Here last summer?
Was it?
Yeah, summer.
Yeah, I think so.
August.
Yeah, it was in August.
So
Yes.
last summer, you took them to the Hunter's Ed that Ark River Pheasants Forever puts on. And your boys seemed to have a good time with that.
Oh, yeah, they enjoyed it.
And then you also were able to take them to the 2-day youth event that the same chapter puts on.
Yes.
So what did your boys think of that event?
Oh, they could not stop talking about it. They had a blast just going out there for the first time with a rifle or shotgun and the dog, because they have never done that before. I haven't had the opportunity to take them out on something like that. And I mean, they just couldn't stop talking about the whole evening after they shot their 3 birds. They thought that was the most funnest thing they ever did, So it was a good time. They still talk about it today. So,
and that's really good because I also know that you have a hunt scheduled
yes, I
for next year through CQ Game Birds.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to taking you guys out on that. You scheduled that here not too long ago, and it's on the books. And so your boys will have another opportunity to get out and do a little more of a wilder hunting opportunity through that activity. So you said your dad and you did a lot of hunting and fishing.
Yes.
Do you have any fishing stories?
Yeah, we have some good fishing stories. More fishing than hunting,
Okay.
probably.
Tell me a funny fishing story then.
Well, there was one day me and a buddy and my dad, we lived on a farm and we had the ranch. We called the ranch. It was a few miles away. We'd always go out there on Friday night, me and a buddy, put up the tent. Dad had the campfire, and I mean, those were fun times for me and my buddy because it's just me, my buddy, and my dad. We all three got along good. Well, Dad decided he was going to play a prank. And he had one of those little rubber snakes that he threw in the tent. I mean, we're talking we were 12, 13
Oh, my goodness.
when we did that. And, oh, gosh, it was, talking about running out of the tent. Couldn't get
Did
the
you
door
take the
zipped
tent
open.
down?
Just about. Couldn't get the door open fast enough. But yeah, we had some good times fishing.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So
I like to hear it when someone does pranks on somebody. So I'm going to share a little story I think you'll get a kick out of. So during dog training, we dog train year round. We take our dogs out, work them year round. So certain times of the year, we run into different items, should I say, different creatures out there. And so I have Autumn out, and we're doing some dog training. I've got some birds planted for her to find, and we're working back and forth. And so one flushes and the shooter misses and the bird flies all the way down. I was like, okay, let's come down and let's find this. And it's down by a little creek bottom, right? And there's nice big CRP next to it. And there's a little bit of water in there. And so there's a lot of wildlife that goes through that little area. And the bird flew down there. And so we went down and we were kicking around to find that bird. And Autumn pulls point. I was like, oh, okay, there it is. So, and I looked at her and I was like, that's kind of a funny point. That's different. So I got ready to kick into the grass and I thought, that point doesn't quite look right. So I take my foot and I real gently kind of move the grass a little bit. And there it is, black and white stripes.
ooh.
You ever seen a fat guy scream and run? I was yelling at the dog to get away from there. I was hauling butt. So yeah, there's even in dog training, you come across the opportunity to run across a funny activity or something like that, and it's pretty hilarious. So when you were growing up, you said you guys lived on a farm, right?
Yes.
Did you guys dirt farm or cattle farm, or what did you guys do?
Well, a little different. I mean, my dad was a rural mail carrier.
Okay.
And the farm that we lived on, we just rented from the farmers, the old homestead. And, he just kind of took me by the hand and said, here, you want to learn how to do some of this stuff? So I kind of got myself into farming, and they did farm and cattle. So I kind of have a good background in the farming industry and a little bit on the cattle and stuff like that. So I just kind of let him teach me how to drive tractor and how to work cattle and how to kind of train stuff like that. And, got into 4-H too. That was a big deal too. So we did hogs and cattle at the fair, and just like being around the animals and livestock. That's just kind of my background and my nature.
And through that background, do you think that helped you have that drive to be an entrepreneur and do your own thing?
I think so. I mean, if you want something, you got to work hard at it. And it's just like your animals. If you want them to do good, you got to work hard at it. So that's kind of my mentality, is just work hard at whatever you're trying to accomplish.
So don't sit on your butt and just get off of it and get the job done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You got to put that extra effort in.
And ultimately, if you don't especially as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
You and I both, we got right off work. I'd been home 20 minutes before we had to start the podcast. You showed up on time, which is kind of rare for the people doing the podcast. They have a tendency to show up 5 or 10 minutes late, but if you're not willing to put in the extra effort where someone else isn't willing to put in the effort, you're going to pull ahead.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur or small business owner, you have to put in that extra mile.
Yep.
I know numerous times I've talked to you and you got off work and you went straight home and you immediately started sorting stuff and pricing stuff and getting it ready to go out. So one of the things we do, because we feed you whiskey, which unfortunately I apologize, this whiskey isn't the greatest, but we feed you. What'd you think of that dinner today?
It was very good. It was perfect.
So what we had today was Jessica's special Salisbury steak, and I think we're looking at getting that recipe bottled so people can make that Salisbury steak for themselves at home. We had raving reviews last year at the banquet when we supplied it. When we catered the banquet last year, we had raving reviews about that Salisbury steak. So we're looking at getting that packaged up for Rub Me Down Barbecue and try to get that out there for people to be able to experience the same level of dinner you had.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah. I won't name the banquet I went to, but I went to a banquet. I was asked. It was for veterans. It was a hunting organization for veterans, and a friend of mine that comes down for our hunts with CQ Game Birds come down, and he asked me to donate a hunt. So we donated a $3,000 hunt for 5 veterans to come down this fall. And so we go over there, and we're we get there, and I was like, so, you said you guys are having barbecue. Where'd you get the barbecue from? Because it's in KC.
Yeah.
I'm thinking KC barbecue, this is going to be pretty good. And he looks at me and goes, honestly, I'd rather have yours. And I was like, really? And so I didn't think anything of it. After I had the barbecue, I'd rather had mine too. So yeah, it's and that's one of the things that we try to do, and you and your boys will get to experience some of that, is when you guys come out for your hunt, that we're an all-inclusive hunting opportunity out at CQ Game Birds, and you get a phenomenal meal along with a phenomenal day of hunting, even if it's just for a day hunt.
Yeah.
So in your day-to-day job, I know that you're a manager of people.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. That doesn't sound like it's a fun task some days.
Oh, when you deal with people, it's you has your ups and downs. So some days are better than others. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, there it comes.
Good catch.
You almost caught it. So, in your day job, you're a manager. I'm just going to use a generalized phrase of a co-op. Okay?
Yes.
I'm not going to name the company. So you're a manager at a co-op, and you're over several elevators, correct?
Yes.
And so to just give you guys an idea on what level of effort it takes to get up and get it done, you had to do what today before you got here?
Well, those silos have to be cleaned out before you put the next commodity in them. So since I'm the skinniest guy, guess who gets to go in this little bitty round hole? Me. So you slip in there with your scraper, your harness, and all the safety stuff that you got to have, and get in there and you scrape all the stuff down to the hole and make sure the bin is clean so you don't have no cross-contamination of grains before you go to the next commodity.
So that sounds like an awesomely horrible job.
It is. It's not fun. It's dirty. It's nasty. It's stinky. Yeah.
You need to hire some skinny kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to stop hiring them big brawny boys. You need to start hiring the skinny kids.
Yep. That would be nice some days.
So just to let everybody know, that is a back-breaking, intensive job. And you were still driven enough to promote your company to show up here today and be willing to sit down and have this little podcast with us today. And we greatly appreciate it. When did you go to college?
Yes, I did. I went to 1 year at HCC.
Okay. So the reason I asked is I couldn't remember if you went out to Colby College or not. It's been years.
Yeah, it
right?
has been.
So explain to me how you met our mutual friend Bradley.
Well, came up here in college for a year. I was the HCC JUCO manager, basketball manager for their basketball team. And, I thought I wanted to do sports medicine. Well, that took more than I wanted to put into it. So I said, well, after that year was done, I said, I'm going to go back to Hutch because I liked Hutch. It was nice. And fall back on agriculture. grain elevators. How many grain elevators does Hutchinson, Kansas have?
A lot.
Exactly. So I went to the office and talked to one guy, and he said, here's his application, and filled it out and kind of looked at it. And about an hour or two later, he calls me and says, hey, you want a job? I said, sure. I'm desperate because I don't have nothing. I got an apartment, no way to pay for it. So I was like, I'll take whatever you want me to do. I'll do it, So we call newbies greenhorns.
Oh, yeah.
We can always get the good jobs. The greenhorns do.
Kind of like scraping out the grain bin.
Exactly. So, I took the job, and about a month later, our friend Bradley shows up and introduced me to him, and we kind of worked together for a week or two and just became good friends, and that's how I became to know you and a whole bunch of other people.
Oh, yeah. Bradley knows quite a few. Bradley knows as many people as I do, and everyone I know wonders if there's anyone I don't know.
Yeah.
So he knows more people than I do. So you and Bradley have kind of some stories. I'm pretty sure. Now we don't need to get.
Yeah, let's not get too carried away.
We don't need to. We don't need to name names or anything like that, but. I know there's a time or two that you guys maybe found yourselves in a situation that it was a little challenging to find your way home.
Yeah, a few times.
Tell me without getting too detailed, tell me a funny story. One of the ones that kind of stand out a little bit. One of the ones that you're like, this was really funny. Even though it was really stupid of us at the time.
And we made it home.
And you can edit as necessary.
Yeah, we won't use no names.
No.
There's one that's there's actually two that stick in my brain a lot, but we'll go with this first one. Well,
the deep sigh. The deep sigh is like, oh, this was a tough one.
Yeah. Well, me and Brad, it was Friday night. What else do you do? Go to the bar. We didn't want to go to the Hutch bars. He's like, we want to go somewhere different. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she lived west of Hutch, about an hour.
Okay.
And we was like, well, let's just go see her, Okay. So we get in the old Ford pickup that he had, the old dually, and get going down the road. And I think it was Turon we stopped, and it was like, we need something to drink. So we got ourselves something to drink and headed on into west of town there, and couldn't get a hold of her. It's like, what are we going to do now? Can't get a hold of her. So we go down to Woody's Bar and Grill there in that town down on Main Street. Some people might know what that bar is that we're talking about. Some may not. So we go there, eat supper, and call again. No answer. It's like, what are we going to do now?
So just to clarify, was this before cell phones?
Yes, this was before. Well, it was beginning of cell phones.
So
it was early 2000s.
So us poor folk back then didn't carry a cell phone everywhere we went.
No.
So calling them, there's a very good chance you're calling their home phone.
Yes.
So just to clarify for the people that may not know life without a cell phone. So.
Yeah. So we called and no answers. Like, what are we going to do now? Let's go to Enid, Oklahoma. So we just got in the pickup and headed towards Enid. No, excuse me, it's Alva, Oklahoma. Alva.
Okay.
Called the Nightlight. A little bar down there. Because I'm from Medicine Lodge.
Yeah.
So I kind of know that area a little bit. So we decided to go down there, and we still sipping on our drinks. And time we got to Alva, it was about 8:30. The bar was just starting to pick up. And, we had a good time and drank a little more there, and came back. I was driving because Brad was passed out in the booth at the bar there, and the bouncer came up to me and says, "Is that your buddy?" I said, "Yeah." "He's going to have to leave." And I'm like, "Why?" well, he's causing problems. I said, he's over there passed out in the booth. He's not causing no problems. Well, he can't be here like that. I was like, okay, so haul him out to the truck, and we decided to leave and head back. And next thing I know, we're pulling into Brad's driveway. That's the last thing I remember. How we made it from Alva to Hutchinson, have no idea. But yeah, we made it.
You're pretty lucky.
Yes, very lucky. That was a life lesson.
So basically what he's saying is learn from me and don't do this.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not.
No, it's not.
We learned the hard way on a few other things, and yeah, I'm a little smarter now.
Yeah, it's always challenge. When you're young, you get this idea in your head that you're like invincible sometimes. And when you get that way, you end up putting yourself in some situations that really we grew up in a different generation.
Yes.
Things were a little more forgivable. We were let off on a lot of things that today you would be in a lot of trouble for. And it kind of hurt sometimes when we made the stupid decisions we made, but we also learned from those decisions and grew from it.
Yeah.
So it's always, sorry, fat guy sitting up. It's always challenging to learn from our mistakes sometimes. I'm going to steal me a little bit more of this horrible whiskey. But in the long run, we're better for it.
Yeah.
So you have a booming additional business that you and your son, more your son than you, are starting up currently. And that is a hog and goat business. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that entrepreneur opportunity?
Well, my boys, I have a set of twin boys. They will be turning 15 here in less than a week.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they're big into 4-H, and they want to do goats and hogs. So last year was our first year doing hogs, and one of my boys that's his thing. That's what he likes. He likes the hogs better than the goats. And I said, okay. And I grew up with hogs and 4-H too, and my dad and me, we raised our own gilts, our own pigs to take to the fair, and I just wanted to take that on to my boys, let them have the opportunity to see what it is like from the process of start to finish.
Yeah. And so it also helps them know where their food comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
And what it takes to get that food up to processing stage.
Yes. And it's a life lesson, because I make my boys, they go out and feed and water every morning and every evening. I don't do any of it. If they have problems, I'll come over and help. But that's their chores. That's what they want to do. So they have to make sure those animals are being well taken care of.
And at 15, there's no reason why they can't do
Exactly. So, but yeah, we have 8 gilts and 3 boars that we have. Me and a buddy we kind of partnered up with, and actually one of them's getting ready to have piglets here in the next couple of weeks. We just found out, so that'll be interesting for the boys for their first time. So yeah, they're gonna have a good time.
You need to send me a video of the faces.
Oh, I will. Trust me.
I just want to see the faces.
It'll be good.
It'll be really good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of that part. We're kind of letting the boys learn a little bit about it, and learn how to take that animal after it's born and care for it until it's to the stage that they could sell it to another 4-H'er or to somebody that wants to fatten it out, and then they'll take that money and reinvest it in feed and maybe more gilts or sows, and just kind of keep growing the operation. That's my goal here in the next 4 years, to get it up so they can have money to go to college on or buy their first vehicle or whatever they want to do with it. I'm reasonable. So, they're good for that. They're got it set. That's what they want to do, and that's what they're working towards.
That's really good to do. What about the goat side of this?
The goat side, I'm not a goat herder. But no, the boys like the goats too, but we just buy show goats, and we're not right now, we're not going to do any breeding. You know, they're just meat market goats. So they have to work with them. They have to put halters on them, learn how to lead them, get the goat to learn how to set up in its stance to get judged. And, you know, I mean, it's a good opportunity for them to take ownership into that animal and present it the way it needs to be presented to try to win that grand champion ribbon. I mean, that's a good accomplishment that this is what I came from. This is where I ended up. You know, how far did I come in that way?
Oh yeah, and it grows that, and it'll give them a big boost of pride.
Yes,
because it's not like when they show up, they don't get a participation trophy.
Right.
You either make it or you don't. Yeah. And the other good thing about that is when they get that grand champion, that goat will sell for way more than someone who got second or third place. Isn't that correct?
It should.
It should.
Things are different. I mean,
it's not like it used to be.
It's not like, yeah, exactly.
Okay, because I remember back in the day, some of the big farmers would come in and buy the grand champion for some ridiculous money.
Yeah.
And then in a lot of cases, the kid got to keep the animal.
Yeah.
They just basically donated the money to the kid.
Premium money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, things have changed since I was in 4-H and the way sales are worked. And, you know, sometimes it's who you know and what your name is. And that's fine. I mean, I understand that. I'm not from this area. Nobody knows me. I get it. It's not a big deal. And I tell my boys the same thing. You know, it's just a name. Don't worry about it. You do the best you can do. And that's the best thing you can do.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and that's some of the challenges we face as a culture today. Mm-hmm. You know, is we put our best foot forward, we do the best we can, and we need to learn that as long as we're giving 110%, and we truly are giving 110% in meeting the goals we set for ourselves, that we should not judge ourselves by someone else. We should judge ourselves and challenge ourselves compared to ourselves,
right,
and move forward. Because one of the biggest things I've ever heard was I heard an actor talking about a friend of his came to him and said, "Who is your hero? Who is the person you look up to?" And this actor stated, "My hero is me 5 years from now." And in 5 years, the guy came back up to him and said, "So who's your hero now?" And he thought about it. He goes, "Me, 5 years from now." Because if I'm not challenging myself and setting myself long-term goals and trying to meet those goals and using myself as my goalpost, who else do I gauge?
Yeah.
Do I gauge myself to someone that I don't know how they got there?
Yeah.
Do I gauge myself to some singer or some basketball player that's on some kind of high horse that doesn't really give a crap about you?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you set your goals for yourself and always look towards, I set this goal for myself in 5 years, so this is my hero, so I must get to where my hero is.
Yeah. And then just keep bettering yourself.
And just keep bettering yourself every time.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you did in a lot of ways by working up to get that $700 to be able to purchase the items that you wanted to purchase to go the direction you wanted to go.
Right.
You made yourself your own hero by setting your goals to meet your goals.
Yeah.
And that's something that maybe a lot of people, it's only $700. $700 when you're raising a family is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially starting out in something. And to build it over 9 years, to be able to donate $5,000 of that just to Pheasants Forever, and then donate enough profit or product between you and another friend to be able to give $9,000. That's pretty substantial. Yeah. And that's something to be commended. And I'm stressing this. I know I stressed it a little bit earlier, but I'm stressing it now because a lot of people may not understand the commitment it took to save that $700. Because I know when I was raising my kids, saved $700 some days was pretty tough.
Yes, very true.
And it wasn't coming out of your day-to-day pay.
Yeah.
Because the day-to-day pay was taking care of everything else. It was coming out of the side jobs and all the other things that you did to be able to do stuff.
Yeah, and we had to double everything because we had twins. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it was a lot harder to, money sits there. Yeah, we could use it to pay for diapers, pay for formula, but no, we let it sit there and
Yeah.
till we had what we needed, and then we
Yep.
started growing.
And
you know.
the thing about this is a lot of people don't understand is you have that money sitting there, and the challenge a lot of people have when they're like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to do this, I want to do that, but they see that TV they've been wanting on sale, and they take that money and they go buy that TV, and then they're set back. Or they see that brand new version of this phone come out, and they've got to have this brand new phone. And they play on impulses that put you behind.
Yeah.
And if you can, and that's one of the challenges, I think. I'll let you tell me your thoughts on this. I think one of the challenges today with today's generation is this impulse mentality that I need it now.
Yeah.
I've got to have it now. I can't plan and wait.
Yeah.
I can't save a little bit. Saving, if people would learn to save $10 or $20 a month,
Yeah.
it adds up, but that's this instant gratification generation, and a lot of this comes from this phones and Google, and because you and I, if we didn't know something, we either had to go find somebody that knew it,
Yeah.
or go to the library and get a book
To figure out what it was.
to figure out how to do it.
Yep.
You didn't have Google and YouTube and all the things that we have today. So wouldn't you think that's kind of where a lot of these newer entrepreneurs struggle, is they expect that instant gratification?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it took me a long time to, whenever I sold, I reinvested. I didn't pull out of that, for at least 3 years, so I could get what I needed to have, so I could start buying those semi-loads, and it was tough. I mean, there were some days I was like, man, we're pinching. We could use a little bit, but I was like, no, if we do that, then we'll get used to that. And then before too long, there's nothing there.
Yep.
And then I'm dead in the water because I don't have nothing. So that's why we just kind of said it's there. We're not going to touch it. We're just going to keep building, reinvesting. We're still gaining members. We're getting enough money to buy more merchandise to keep it going. And we're just growing. And that's my goal. I want to grow bigger and bigger. I mean, you've been out to my place. You've seen that I got a new trailer
Oh, yeah.
sitting out there because I wanted more inventory to have on hand. So I'm saving to pay for that trailer a little bit at a time. The guy's nice enough to let me make payments to him, but I'll get it paid off and then it'll be mine. And then I'll figure something I want to add on, something more, I mean, because I'm always wanting to grow, get bigger, and do what I want to do.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Let's talk about your inventory a little bit here. I'm just going to touch on a couple things. It is April now, and we're moving into fishing season. We're moving into summer. We're moving into the time of year that people want to get outside more.
Yeah.
So when I was over at your place the other day, I think I saw several coolers, Coleman coolers.
Yep.
You had 3 or 4 different sizes?
Yeah. I think there's about 4 of the hard-sided different sizes.
Okay.
And
those go from what I would call not a medium cooler, but not a real large cooler.
yeah, I wouldn't say huge. Not
And then
large.
you've got a medium-sized cooler, then a small cooler, then like a lunchbox
Yeah,
size.
then I have some lunchbox sizes too.
Yeah. And then you also have a whole bunch of fold-out type chairs.
Yep. We have a bunch of camping chairs. Coleman.
Camping chairs. That's
Yep.
what I was looking for. Coleman camping chairs.
Yep.
And I think you had a big inventory of fishing poles and
Yes.
fishing equipment.
Yep. There's a bunch of poles. Some poles have reels on them. Some don't. I mean, some of them are really nice reels and rods and lures, sinkers, bobbers, you name it. I got a lot of the fishing stuff still that will start coming out on my page here shortly.
And that's pretty good. So we did a promo for Pheasants Forever before this. So I can't remember exactly if we covered your Facebook page. and how people should get a hold of you and your product. Cover that one more time for me real quick, just so I know we covered it.
Yeah, it's called KCJC Truckload Sales. It's on Facebook. Go in there. It's going to be an orange icon when you pull it up on your phone. It'll say KCJC Hutchinson, Kansas on there. It'll be an orange icon. Click on that, and because it is a closed page. No, page group. It's group.
Closed group.
Group, yes, closed group. So then we'll look at it, and we'll approve you. You know, I've been lately, Facebook has been getting people from way out Nigeria. So I kind of scan my people that I want on my page. I want people that are
Local-ish.
local, you know, that are just not out there to cause trouble on my group.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I keep a pretty tight ship on my group. I don't let people get out of hand, you know.
So people are polite,
Yes,
courteous to
yes,
each other.
Exactly.
They're not rude, hateful. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they're booted.
Yeah, I don't tolerate that at all.
But ultimately, it's really easy to get on the group.
Yes, super easy. Just get on there, click join group. I usually respond in an hour or less, and I'll usually scan. A lot of people can add other people onto the group.
I think I added some people.
Yeah, and if I see like Stephen McMaster's added 15 people, I'll just click add all. You know, if I know that one person added all those people, I know you're a good customer, and most of your friends are going to be the same way, I hope.
Yeah.
So that's why I just add them. But yeah, I mean, I think right now we're setting a little over 3,000 people on our group.
That's pretty good.
So that's not too bad in a, let's say, 7-8 year time period.
Yeah,
since
that's
I started
not bad
it.
at all.
So, but yeah, I mean, I have a good following. All my customers are super, super nice. We work with my schedule because, you know, once summer gets here and fall gets here, it gets a little dicey on my end. I'm not always at home at 5:30, and you know, my customers are super nice about working with me on the weekends when I am home or late in the evenings, or my wife will step in and help out too. So,
And the good thing is, I know I'll go on there and you'll have something that I want. And I'll post on there, give me a call, send me a message, or I'll send you a private message through Messenger saying, hey, I'll give you this for it.
yep.
And then you'll hold those items for a given period of time until we can get out there and pick it up, correct?
Right. I mean, I try to work with people on pickup. I mean, that's my biggest thing right there is pickup. You know, I mean, I'm taking your word that we set up a date and a time. You'll be there, and we'll make the transaction, and you know, and I try to be there just as much, make the time work.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there's some days that my work holds me up and I can't, and I usually know if I have appointments that evening, I usually message you, say, hey man, I got holed up at work and I'll be home at this time. If we want to still do it tonight, I'll be available. If not, we'll pick another evening, or I'll get with you. And most people are like, yeah, not a problem. I understand, because they know what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So,
And the other good thing about what you're doing, and I don't know if you set it up this way, but you're mid-30s, right? 40?
I'm 40. You'll be 43.
Wow.
44. I'll be 44 in September.
You're closer to my age than I thought you were. Well, keep in mind, when I first met Keith, he looked like a 12-year-old, and he was probably 25.
Yeah,
so
$1 buck and a quarter.
Yeah, and
If that.
after a heavy rainstorm with you wearing all your clothes. So if you keep this up just at the way you're doing it now, without really necessarily growing, but building your base, right? By the time you decide to retire, you could have a really good additional income for retirement.
Yes.
As well as your business's retirement and your wife's retirement and all that stuff. You have that additional play money or income through this business. And that's one of the things that a lot of people should think about is when you're thinking about what do I want to do when I retire, don't just think, well, I just want to go, unless you're some millionaire. Most of us need some additional money. Then you could start building a small entrepreneurial business now And then by the time you retire, it becomes something that's truly turning good profit.
Yes.
And you've got something to do on the side.
Yeah, you're reading my mind. I mean, because that's why we started the business. Me and my wife both. I mean, it was something that we knew what my retirement age was, and it's way before I'm 65. And I was like, if I start something now and keep building on it and get a good income, that I know, hey, if I can't find anything that has insurance, at least I know this job right here will pay for my insurance until I do reach the age of 66 or 67. To get those full benefits off of that.
And that's a good plan, right? Mm-hmm. To me, that's a great thing because, anymore, if it's up to the government, before long, they're going to say you can't retire until you're 99 and a half, right?
Yeah, very true.
Even though we've been paying in Social Security since we were 16, which I think is a line of hooey. But it's a fantastic way to help plan your future and not rely upon someone else to plan it for you.
Yeah.
And not rely upon, let's say, the government to throw you some extra pennies because they're not going to. Then you're able to set yourself up. And as a perfect example is I have my kids going out there now.
Yeah.
Now that my kids are out on their own and they have their own places, they're coming out and buying from you and purchasing things to be able to develop their own lives, and they're being able to purchase a lot of the stuff from you at a much lower rate.
Yeah, have a little extra money in their pocket to go do something fun.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're about. You can still buy the stuff that you need for a good price, still have a little extra if you want to go out to eat or if you want to go do something else, compared to spending it all at Walmart or wherever.
Yeah.
I got $30 left. I got to make it last to my next paycheck. You come to me, you're going to have an extra $150 in your pocket when you leave.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And here's the diversity of what you have out there. I'm gonna cover a couple things that I was kind of flipping through your stuff the other day, and I think you were with a customer, and I have a tendency to probably go places I'm not supposed to go.
Snooping,
trying to get ahead of the game. I know. You've had electric fryers out there that are meant for inside the home. You have laundry soap. You've had deodorant, shampoos, shaving razors. You've had watches for little kids. You've had games for kids. Matter of fact, you have a tower of what are those doll things?
Oh, LOL dolls.
LOL dolls. You have a tower of those things.
Yep.
I think you have several cases of deer mineral salt.
Yeah,
BioRock. You have several cases of BioRock. I went back and I talked about fishing poles, but I went back and I saw you even had ice fishing poles back there. You had several ice fishing poles. You had several long poles. You had several hunting knives, several pocket knives. You have measuring spoons, stainless steel measuring spoons. You had 7 or 8 sets of those. You even had yarn.
A to Z.
It's an A to Z thing. Sometimes it takes a little while to find stuff, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that's a joy in it.
Yeah.
Right? Not everything's on the Facebook page.
No, it is not.
For you to post everything on the Facebook page, all you do is post on the Facebook page, and you couldn't go to day job.
No, I couldn't. No.
Because I've been in that trailer you said you bought, climbing to try to go look for stuff just because I was being nosy. You've got some really good, high-quality stuff. And so let's say I buy something. You have pressure washers too,
yes,
right? And you have those big tower heaters. Too.
Yes.
And you have dog kennels, you have dog toys, you have just A to Z, like he said. So let's say I buy a power washer from you, and you said, I believe it works. I haven't had time to test it. Let me know if it works. So I bring it home, and it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
What is your policy on that?
Well, we really don't have a return policy, but since I'm a good guy and I want to keep my customers happy and coming back to me, what I usually do is tell them, bring that item back. Let me look at it. and if it's broken, it's broken. That's my fault. What we usually do is whatever you paid for it, I will give you half of that money back, and then the other half goes towards store credit. So you can go pick anything out that you see for store credit. That's the best way I found, because my suppliers, when I buy that load, it's mine. There's no returns, no guarantees on any product that's in that truck. So I got to come up with my own return, and I like to keep people happy, because that's just who I am. Because if they're happy, they're going to come back and buy more. They're going to tell their friends, hey, this Keith guy, he's a good guy. He'll treat you right. And that's the motto, reputation that I want for me and my family. And
that's a good thing. A stand-up person in running a good business. So would you be opposed to, let's say I bought that pressure washer, it didn't work, you took it back, we weren't able to get it going, and you were like, hey, I'll give you half cash, half store credit. Would you have a problem with me using all of it on store credit?
Or you can do it all on store credit. Yeah. It's up to the person that how some people, they want that cash back.
Yeah.
I mean, I win and lose some people, because some people just, they'll want half of it back, and then they'll like, oh, I'll just go buy something real quick, and then they're gone, and I never see them again.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. And I try to do my best to make it reasonable and a warm, welcoming place for them to come and buy stuff, But some people are just different. You can't please them all. I just try to do the best I can with what I have.
But most of the time, before you ever sell anything, you test it.
I try to test it, But as I said, not all my products on Facebook. So when people come and pick something up,
you haven't,
and they see other stuff. Oh, I want that. Well, it's not tested, but here's my price untested, and you're taking I'm still gonna stand behind my product, but it's like, this is what it is. You take it home, as you said, try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, get a hold of me, and I'll make it right with you one way or the other. And most people are like, sounds good to me,
Yeah, so. Because I know I got a laser printer from you.
Yes.
A laser printer, and then I got a 3D printer too. I've got a 3D printer back in the other room that works fine.
Yeah.
It was missing the spool, is all it was missing. So you've just got such a variety of things. And for the guys with the tool shop, you had Husky. Was that Husky?
Yeah, Husky pegboards.
Husky steel pegboards.
Yep.
For inside your shop to hang stuff up on, those are really handy.
Yeah.
Those are super handy. And you guys have been doing this for about 9 years.
Yep.
That's quite a while.
It is. I mean, we thought it was going to last a year and a half, if that.
Mm-hmm.
And it all kind of depends on the product. That's what kind of kept us going. We had a couple loads that came through that just boosted inventory out the door faster, because it was what people were wanting at that certain time. And that's what I'm trying to get better at as I'm learning the business of the overstocks and liquidation. It is a roller coaster, trying to find those loads that you can afford. Don't go buy a load that, I really want this load, but it's $25,000, and do I spend all my marbles on that one load and hopefully it pays off, or do I let's wait a little bit and let's buy a smaller cost load and turn money and make what we got to make to survive.
And and sometimes I think, if I understood correctly, sometimes you guys will do some quick Facebook Live auctions, won't you?
We started to do a few of them. I'm still a little rusty on that, and it takes a lot of manpower behind the camera to get bids and stuff like that. I mean, my customers liked it the one or two times that we did it. It's just hard work for me. It's a lot of setup, because I'm a one-man show, more or less. My wife does help, but it's just Keith. Keith's the one out there. He knows where all the inventory is. He knows what he has. So, it's just a lot of work with the full-time job and the boys with the animals. I got a lot on my plate, but I try to put as much towards the business as I can to keep it thriving and going, and people coming back and wanting more product.
While we took a little let our teeth stop floating break, this bourbon is really bad.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't have no more.
It's really bad. As it switches to Keith's camera, you're going to see he said Miller Lite time, baby. I'm still trying to. I spent $50 on a bottle, and I'll find a way to get it drank over the next 4 years. I think either that or I'll find an enemy, give it to him.
There you go.
So you said something about our mutual friend Brad has a bottle of bourbon that's pretty good.
Yeah, I want to say it's something with like Yellowstone or something like that. I'll get you more information on that when I talk to him next.
That bourbon was Yellowstone something or another?
Yeah, something kind of like that. I'm not for sure what he told me it was.
So, yeah, just send it to me because
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious because you said that stuff's hard to put down.
It's smooth.
This stuff is really easy to throw down, like throw it somewhere other than down your throat. I don't like talking bad about this stuff, anything really. And I'm sure there's someone out there that thinks this stuff's just the cream of the crop. It is just not for you and I,
No.
is it?
No.
Not. And if you remember when I had Jason West on and we were sipping, we about had the bottle gone by the end of the night. This one, I'm pretty sure in 6 months is probably still going to be at the level it's at right now. It's ouch. It's not good.
Well, I'm a Weller's guy.
Yeah.
I like Weller's.
Yeah, and for me, Weller's is kind of not on the bottom rung.
No.
But it's kind of mid-range for me. And on this podcast, we really tried to we're going for the not the top shelf, but
mid-range.
between the middle, above the middle shelf and sometimes the top shelf. And this guy was on the top shelf.
Maybe they misplaced it. Should have been on the middle shelf.
And I was like, well, I think they're pretty proud of it with, it literally, to me, what it tastes like is it tastes like a lower quality bourbon that they jacked the alcohol content up. That's what it tastes like to me. It does not taste like a $50 bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
It tastes like a $25 bottle of bourbon. And maybe that's the deal. If I bought a $25 bottle of bourbon, I would kind of expect it to be like this.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think a $50 bottle of bourbon is cream of the crop, but they're typically pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's not obviously going to compare to the $500 bottle of bourbon I saw at the liquor store the other day, but I would expect it to be. It have some flavor that would make you think it was bourbon, and not just some cheap high proof whiskey,
Right.
And that's exactly what this tastes like. It's got the coloration of bourbon, but it doesn't taste like it.
No. I mean, the only thing you found at my house when I was growing up, you had Weller's, Wild Turkey 101, and some Old Charter. That's what's in the cabinet back home.
Old Charter. Oh goodness.
Yep.
I think I'm sitting at about a 60% water to ice ratio and about 40% bourbon at this. Well, whatever this is called. It's rough. So let's get to talking about some fun stuff. So what kind of dogs did you and your dad run?
He had Brittany's.
Yeah. Brittany's a good all around bird dog. Small, high energy. They typically can make it all day running. Very seldom do. If you get a small Brittany, they'll have a little bit of trouble carrying a pheasant, but not often. Brittany's are typically somebody's quail dog.
Yeah. That's what Dad usually hunted.
Quail.
We didn't do a whole lot of pheasant. It was basically quail back where we're around, So
did you guys do any deer hunting when you were young?
Dad never did take me deer hunting, but me and one of my buddies back home, he took me out my first time, and we went out to his property because he had a lot more property than we had to hunt. So, yeah, that was a good little story there, I can say. That first time going out, me and him were, probably, he was a sophomore and I was a junior in high school.
Oh, okay.
And Dad gave me his 243, and then he had his dad's gun, and his dad told him, well, go out here, because his dad was a pumper. He checked pumping wells.
Oh, yeah, so he knew
he knew where all the good spots were. And my dad knew where all the good spots were, too, because he was a real mail carrier.
Yep.
So, we had the deals of both ends, and his dad told us to go out here by this one well. He said, out in Medicine Lodge, if anybody knows that area, a lot of hills and terrain, a lot of good hiding spots. He says, they're always there at this time, because he does his rounds every day. So we went out, had Ford Bronco, went out.
You got to love a Ford
Bronco.
Oh, yeah.
Was
it a full size?
Oh, yeah, it was a full size.
Oh, yeah, you got to love a Ford Bronco.
Big old beast, Well, we get out there, and we're on private property, and we see the deer on the other side of the canyon, and he's like, man, that's just a long shot for the rifles that we had.
Yeah.
They wasn't long distance rifles. So we decided to get in the Bronco and, go halfway around the horseshoe with the Bronco. We didn't shoot out of the truck by no means, because that's not right. We don't do that.
Well, it's illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal. Exactly. So we went on the outside of the horseshoe so we could just, because there's no way we could go down. Those canyons out there are... Yeah,
you don't...
You don't go down them.
I was waiting for the story where you drove into something.
No. We went around the top of the canyon, and we got out, and we walked probably 50 to 100 yards so we could at least see them through the scope a little better. Yeah. And down at the bottom of the canyon, there's an oil well pumper down there. We seen this truck down there. It's like, what in the world is that? We didn't think anything of it. So we get in our position, and he says, you can fire first. So I fired first and missed, because I haven't been hunting that much for deer. Yeah. And he says, okay, deer didn't move. He moved a little bit, but he didn't know where it came from because we were up high and he was down low. So he took a shot and hit it. And was like, all right. So we go back to the truck and take the oil pumper rode down to the well, and we get down there. Guess who's down at the bottom of the canyon?
Owner of the property or his dad?
The game warden. Yeah. So we're getting on the phone real quick to his dad. Says, man, you need to get down here now. And he was just a couple miles away checking wells, and he met us there, and the game warden's seen it all. He's seen everything that we did, and we're 15, 16-year-old boys, we didn't have a clue what
we're supposed
to be doing, and luckily that his dad knew the game warden very, very well, because they're neighbors out in a small community. Everybody knows everybody, and he says, well, boys, I can do two things. I can take your guns and take you to jail, because this was a little button buck that we shot. We couldn't see that in our scope, because they wasn't very big at all. And he's like, take your guns and take you to jail and have your parents come and pick you up, or I can teach you a lesson. And we picked teach us the lesson, please. Amen. So he says, well, number one thing, you can't use your vehicle to get a better advantage at the deer. And we was like, yeah, after looking at it, we were wrong. We admitted it. We were wrong. And, and he says, if you don't know what you're shooting at, don't shoot it until you got a good look at it and see what it is. And I said, yeah, you're right. We were wrong. We're learning. I'm glad you took the time to teach us, and that stuck with me. That's something that I've stuck with me. It's something that I tell my boys every day, too, when we go hunting. Firearms are dangerous, but if you know how to control them and you know how to use them properly, you'll be just fine.
And ultimately, I'm going to take a super side note, and then I'm going to come right back. And ultimately, the Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms.
Yes.
not for hunting purposes.
Right.
The Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms, to give us the ability to defend ourselves against foreign and domestic threats, no matter what that threat is.
Yep.
But you're right, 100%, that if you don't understand and respect your firearm, you could put yourself in a bad situation.
Very true.
Pretty quickly. And your boys got to go through Hunter's Ed with us. And one of the big things I tell new Hunter's Ed students is that ethics is the most important thing. And I have one question I ask them. I'm like, so what is ethical behavior? And they all look at me funny. And I was like, the definition of ethical behavior is your behavior when no one is watching.
Right. I remember you telling that at that class too.
Yes. And if you don't hold up to the same ethical behavior that you would do when someone's watching you, you need to really check yourself. And as an entrepreneur, that's probably one of the most important things you can think about is your ethics as an entrepreneur, your ethics as a business person. Yeah. Because if you don't hold yourself to a higher standard, like you're very clear and understanding with your customers. If you don't hold yourself to that higher standard of my ethics are, what I'm doing is the exact same stuff you'd see me doing if you're watching me.
Right.
Right. When I'm looking at my product, you've thrown stuff away.
Oh, yeah.
That I wouldn't have thrown away for my personal self, but I would have thrown away to sell to a customer, right?
Yes.
Things I could bang out a big dent, but I wouldn't sell it to a customer. Matter of fact, I've looked at you and said, don't throw that away. I'll buy it. And I bought it from you for a real reasonable price, right. But, just to kind of offset your expenses. Yeah. So there's a lot to learn if an entrepreneur really wants to learn something about how to be a good business person, you have to look at your ethical behavior. Right. And if a hunter wants to be a good ethical hunter, you have to look at your ethical behavior.
Right.
Because the other thing I tell the kids in Hunter's Ed is if you aren't ethical, you'll ruin it for everybody else.
Very true.
Because as soon as you make that bad decision, then you categorize all hunters in that bad decision. So it is much, much better for you to make the right decisions all the time.
Yep.
Because even though you think no one's watching,
somebody's always watching you.
Somebody's always watching you.
Yep, and you might not even see them.
Yes. Amen. And if what you're going to do, you have guilt and the Lord's going to hold that guilt to you, you shouldn't do it in the first place. If you're not willing to do it in front of God, don't do it.
Yep.
So your business is you and your wife.
Yes.
And then you've got a side business. And your wife is a board member or something on a bank?
No, she works in the trust department.
Trust department. Okay.
Yes.
So you guys are busy all the time.
Yes, there's no downtime between the boys' school and athletics there and 4-H and our two jobs and the side business. We're always go, go, go.
Yeah, and ultimately that's a good thing.
Yeah,
really. And you guys are bringing 20 people to the banquet, isn't that correct?
I'm hoping all 20 show up.
Yeah, I'm hoping all 20 show up. And because of your sponsorship, you get 2 guns at your banquet, at your table. Are you keeping them both, or
I'm probably going to keep them both. You're probably for my boys, just add to the collection so they have something. Collection.
Yeah, I think I would too. That's not something that I like to gamble with. So as we look forward, so the next question that I like to ask people, if there's something you would do, let's say it's a bucket list thing, what would be your bucket list opportunity that you'd want to go do?
I have that one. I've been thinking about this one for a while because my bucket list is I want to take me, at least my two boys. I don't know if my wife will go, but I want to go to Alaska and go fishing. I want to go salmon fishing in Alaska for a week. Just me and the boys out there, or me and the wife and the boys. I just want to go there. I think it'd be cool. My brother-in-law's gone. He went on a guided trip and he loved it. And ever since then, that's on my bucket list to go do.
So my wife and I were looking at a trip, a 5 or 7 day trip up there, and it's an all-inclusive. And they give you, and it was a halibut salmon fishing trip.
Yes.
And they give you, you can take more than this, but they give you, for each person fishing, coolers to hold 100 pounds of fish per person.
Nice.
So imagine you and your boys coming back with 300 pounds of salmon and halibut.
Yeah. I'd eat it all. I love both of those.
Oh, yeah.
Put them on the smoker and just let them slow smoke.
Oh,
yeah.
And then smoke some of that salmon, take it, make a salmon dip,
You
or
can
just eat it straight, right?
Yeah, I do everything.
Oh, yeah. Those salmon dips are really good. And a lot of people, especially during Christmas time, they really like those salmon dips. And then halibut, nice grilled halibut on the grill.
Yep.
That's super.
Yeah, see, when my brother-in-law went, he sent some of that stuff back to us. I mean, he had them ship it straight to us. So, I mean, ever since then, I just love it. I just love the taste of that kind of fish, and it's just awesome.
Well, it's clean.
Yeah, very clean.
Super clean. It's not gone through the grocery store processes, whatever they do there.
Yep.
And then in the cleaning plants, you don't know how long those fish sat out before they actually got froze or vacuum sealed or anything like that. And if you're out on these trips, I put pen to paper to the trip, and if my wife and I both went, just figuring the cost per person, the cost of fish, if we were to buy the fish here, actually paid for the trip.
Oh, I can believe that.
Because the fish, like salmon here on sale, is $10 a pound.
Yeah.
On sale.
Yeah.
And then, you figure that cost. It's $1,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for 100 pounds of fish. Have you ever thought about doing an elk hunt or moose hunt or anything
I have.
like that?
Bradley, his brother, like to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it, just me and Brad and Sam, and just haven't got to that point yet.
Yeah, I'll tell you this.
It's expensive,
and you better be in shape.
Yeah.
I can tell you this jelly belly wouldn't be making it up there. I've got friends that do goat hunting in Alaska.
Really? That'd be kind of interesting.
I've got a friend that's a guide that guides goat hunting in Alaska. And I'm like, how? Because they're climbing up these steep ridges. And then they get on this ridge and they shoot this goat on another ridge. And then they've got to go down this ridge and go all the way up, while the client might not go all the way.
Yeah.
Then they've got to pack this thing out.
It's a lot of work.
I could not imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go on another hunt, like that too. But my bucket list would be going fishing.
Yeah,
I mean,
if I tried to squeeze in a hunting trip, my wife would turn it into a fishing trip somehow, because she would much rather go fishing than hunting any day of the week.
Yeah.
So we've run fairly long on our podcast here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to give my normal sign off. But before I do my normal sign off, I'm going to give you the camera and give you the opportunity to promote your business one last time. Let everybody know where to find you and how to contact you. So there you go, buddy.
All right. My group is called KCJC, the letters, Truckload Sales, on Facebook. You can get on there, comment on the items, or you can instant messenger me personally, and then we can set up times to come out and look at all the other product that's not on the page there. That's the best way to get a hold of me is on Messenger. We can set up times and dates and all that good stuff. We put our sales when we're going to have our yard sales, we call them, or sale days. That's when I have a lot of the product out on tables. We have those periodically throughout the year. But yeah, I mean, our company is overstocks and liquidations and reasonable prices. That's the biggest thing right there is we're way under retail. So that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you very much, Keith,
for
coming out and talking with us. We'll get you on again. Maybe what we'll do is we'll try to get you on maybe a week or two before you plan on having a big sale.
Yeah.
And with that, we can guide people to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Again, that Facebook page is KCJC Truckload Sales on
Correct.
Facebook. And if they want to be on the group, they have to request to join.
Yes.
And it's real simple to join. He most of the time he takes people, but if you're an overseas person, it's more than likely that you're not going to get on the group because he can't ship to you anyways.
Right.
And unfortunately, with society today, we have to kind of monitor who we let on our groups and things like that.
Yep.
So if you guys are interested in supporting a local business, keep in mind, this local business is not solely out for profit. Every entrepreneur is trying to make a profit, okay? But he is not just cramming the money in his pocket and forgetting about his local community. He is out. He's giving to Pheasants Forever. The chapter that he's giving to is Ark River Pheasants Forever. And 97% of the income made at this local chapter's banquet is used directly in the community. Only about 3.5%, so it'd be like 96.5%. That stays here. So about 3.5% of the money that the chapter brings in actually goes back to national. So if you think about that, he's giving directly back to his community through his $5,000 sponsorship with them. And then on top of that, after the fire, he got together with his friend and they put on a live auction and raised over $9,000 to give back to the people that were affected by the fire. So if you really look at that, this is why we shop local. It's to support, just a perfect example, shopping with Keith, you are supporting his family. You're supporting his kids to go to football, baseball practice, basketball practice, supporting his kids to do 4-H, supporting his family compared to when you buy at Walmart, Target, Amazon, especially Amazon, all these big box chain stores. When you buy from those places, sorry, something in my eye. When you buy from all these places, all you're doing is lining the pocket of a CEO. If you buy from him and other local people, you're supporting a family here locally. You're supporting a family to support their family. And they have employees and everything else. He isn't quite big enough to have an employee yet, but it is definitely a family-run thing, and they do support their family through this. So my normal sign-off is, guys, remember, shop local, shop American-made, do everything you can to buy things made in the good old USA and no other country, because by doing that, we make America stronger every day. And always keep your entrepreneurial spirit up. Thank you for signing on. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.